Let's talk about this topic. It's pretty interesting, but you know, people that come out here, and we're gonna listen to the story a little bit. That way, you can realize, people that come out here, these expats, man, and they get scammed or this and that. They deserve it, because they deserve it because the way they go on about things. They're dating bar girls. They don't even they start dating any girl a month, 2 months, and they're doing the most already. So let's this is a guy that wanted to retire in Thailand. All right. And basically, he never been to Thailand. All right. He just, from stuff that he saw, that's the first mistake you can make. Also, like, wherever you're gonna move in the world, it would be a good idea to go and see how things are there. All right. So let's he went to Thailand and he met a bar girl. He's
For
retiring.
people to work in the bars. I felt like I had a one up over people who met and married girls from Isan. I felt she was different, and I felt I was different as well.
She's different and she's at a bar. Like, come on, bro. These guys are delusional, man.
I don't want to bore you with the courtship, but I ended up going back to her bar day after day, blowing the budget for a good couple of weeks. I reasoned with myself that I did have a lump of savings, so I could eat into this from time to time when it was necessary. I considered the potential of a new life partner as being worth it, so I dipped into the savings, probably £1,000 over those few weeks, and I considered it well spent.
Spending crazy money on a bar girl.
The thing that I liked about Ang was that she didn't seem to be after money. When we went out of the bar together, she never really talked about money. She just seemed to want a partner, and to be with someone who would treat her well, and who could settle down together with. This is something I was after as well, and as those few weeks spurred on, I decided that I wanted to get to know her even more. I asked her if she could stop working in the bar, and said she would, as long as I helped support her, if she was no longer working. Now, I can remember saying, well, why don't you get a different type of job instead? Not understanding that in Thailand this is very difficult, and due to her lack of experience and education and her socio-economic background, it was absolutely no chance.
That is right. That is right. That's why a lot of those women end up in bars. They prostitute. They end up being prostitutes and all of that. So, I mean, it's a sad situation that they have to be there to be able to, you know, provide for themselves. But a lot of those women, they've been doing that for a long time. So they change.
She would be able to get a job earning anything reasonable. I've spoken to lots of people in Thailand who said they gave their girlfriends and wives a monthly allowance. I actually saw this to be not different to how it used to be in the West, where the man would work and the lady would look after the house. She, of course, needed money to spend as well, so I took it upon myself that yes, I would support her and she would live with me in my condo. This was going to break the budget slightly. I agreed to give her 12,000 baht per month, which would leave me with about 600 per day for myself. Not a lot of money, but I reckoned it would still be okay. As is always the case, the first few weeks we spent together in my condo were amazing. We didn't go out often, watching movies together, cooking, and just living a normal life. We spent time by the pool.
This is not even his wife, and he's giving her allowance. What the?
Having a few beers and watching the sunset at the
Let me
pool
know
was
what
one
y'all
of the
think in the
highlights of my
comments.
day. But after a few weeks, she kept bringing up wanting to go out. Oh, let's go out to eat today. Let's go for a drink this evening, and things like that. I didn't think anything of.
And there's some women that are not like that. Like, they don't really tell you, hey, like my wife, she's never telling me, "Hey, let's go eat. Let's go." You know, she's not like really needy or nothing.
it, and was in the mind that she was going to pay for some of these things out of the money that I was giving her. Feel free to call me an idiot here, but of course this didn't happen. I raised it with her, I think, on the 7th or 8th time that we went out together, saying I give you 12,000 back per month, and if we're going out together, I think you should be using this sometimes as well to pay. The way she looked at me when I said this is like something I will remember for the rest of my life, like I was mad, or gone crazy, or something along those lines. I quickly changed the subject, saying I was joking, but part of me didn't really understand her mentality. On the other hand, part of me was falling madly in love with her and wanted to spend every waking minute with her.
Red flags everywhere. You know, this is the problem that you know these guys. You know, these guys take advantage. You know, and then whenever they get scammed or whatever, you know, they just want to blame the women. You know, they're already taking advantage of knowing that the girl's young and poor, and that she's gonna say yes because these guys have money or whatever. They have a pension.
So I made sure to keep her happy. Her constant demands to do
First mistake, they didn't do research. All right, before going to Thailand, and straight to the bar. Come on, man.
things and go out and go places meant I had to stop doing my online work. I kept having to take her places and do things, and I was eating into my savings. I really didn't like doing this, but the thought of losing her at the time, at least, was way worse. From my small budget, all of it was going out every month, and on top of this, I was probably spending an extra £1,000 a month. At this rate, my savings would be gone, and I'd be down to just my income. But as someone with a positive mindset, I decided to just soldier on. What is the worst that could happen? Sure, there's something will come up before the savings run out, and I'll start to make some more money. The thing I hate the most about myself is that for that £100,000 in savings, I could likely have bought a house in the UK that I could have rented out for around £500 a month. This would have given me a far better income. But at the time, I liked the idea of having money in the bank for savings. How wrong I was. Close to the end of 2014, with savings dwindling, albeit at a slow pace, I was at the time the happiest I'd ever been. At least I thought I was happy.
This is why. This is the perfect example why you have to live somewhere first and get experience. Okay, of how much money you're spending and everything. You know, he went out there not knowing, you know, not living life over there, and he just burning through his money like crazy.
I had a beautiful partner, lived in an amazing city, and had a great time. But the only thing wrong with this was that my savings were going down. This wasn't the idea at all. I do know that I would have enough income coming in to cover a lifestyle that would have been okay. But it wouldn't have been okay for her, and making her happy at the time was more important than the nagging feeling that I was being an idiot. Needless to say, I asked her to marry me, and she agreed. And going into 2015, I was now married to someone that I thought was the best person in the world. I loved her, and I thought she loved me, and hoped that eventually she would settle down a bit and not have the constant demands to go places, to do things, and to go out. Part of me was quite lucky, in the sense that she never sent money to her family. She didn't have any children. I even visited her family in Phuket on a few occasions. And no, she didn't have any responsibilities there whatsoever. We did, of course, do the marriage ceremony there, and I forked over 200,000 baht in Sinsod, but I thought it was worth it.
Don't miss out on this cool shovel spoon available on Lazada. Made of stainless steel, it is durable and not easily deformed. With its long handle,
Now down to 75,000, and a reason with myself that as she was now my wife, I could talk to her about the situation. I told her that I had a certain income that comes in on a monthly basis, and we needed to try and live within this. I told her how much my savings were, and that she couldn't want them to go down, but we needed to keep this money for a rainy day. Ang was quite sympathetic and said she would do her best to help, but the next few weeks proved otherwise. We ended up doing the same things, going out to eat, visiting friends, and just doing exactly what we did for the past few months. We were getting on well together, but she just didn't seem to appreciate the situation at all. Could I have put my foot down harder? Maybe, but I didn't want to lose her, what I had in terms of the relationship. I'd been waiting for a relationship like this all my life, and losing it felt worse than losing the money. How crazy does that sound? As the weeks went by, I brought it up again to Ang, and she told me she had been thinking of ideas of how to help. She said we could invest my remaining savings in a condo in Bangkok that we could rent out, and hopefully that would give us enough money to live on comfortably. I thought about this idea long and hard. The idea of buying a condo never really came to mind before, but after looking around at what was available and what you would be able to rent for, I started to take the idea seriously. We looked at quite a few condos around the Sukhumvit area, and I was happy to see that there were many in budget. The fact that I could own the condo myself, and that Ang wasn't trying to get it in her name, I took as a good sign. But then a nightmare struck back home. The boiler in my house in England had broken, and it was going to cost me £4,000 to fix it. I had to do this. I had no choice, as I had tenants living there, so I forked over the money to fix the boiler. And guess what? The tenants moved out as soon as it was fixed, and I didn't have anybody living in the house for the next 2 months. 2 months of me eating into more savings, and the fix for the boiler, and then the £70,000 that I thought I had available to buy a condo, all of a sudden became £65,000, and I could no longer afford the condo we had our eyes on. Although I did manage to get someone into my house again for £1,100 a month, it concerned me greatly that this income, although quite stable, wasn't 100% guaranteed. With this in mind, I decided against the idea of buying a condo. I needed to do something else instead. I put the fact that my savings were dwindling to the back of my mind. Throughout 2015, I kept looking for something to do to try to make a little bit of money on the side. I kept taking Ang out, making sure she could live to the way she'd become accustomed, and she seemed oblivious to my situation and the fact that the money was running down. £1,000 every month going out of savings, occasionally would be more. Then 2016 hit. This was going to be the worst year of my life. All my savings were in England. I was told by multiple people that keeping any money in Thailand is not a good idea. You should keep your money in your own country, which I did. When it came time for the Brexit vote, I was fully expecting the outcome to be stay in the EU. And on June 17th, I remember sending some money over and getting 50 and a bit baht per pound. By the end of the year, this was around 43. My savings, which were down to £55,000, were now worth substantially less. My income, which was around 55,000 baht per month, was now suddenly around 46,000 baht per month. My world turned upside down, and I would need to spend so much more money to keep going in the same way that we were before. I broke this to Ang, and she seemed to not care at all, or perhaps she just didn't understand what I was talking about. I now needed to spend around 9,000 baht per month just to be where we were before Brexit, and instead of wasting £1,000 a month out of my savings, it was now closer to 1,300. I had no idea what to do. This was so unsustainable, but I just wanted to be with Ang. This is a warning I would say.
It sounds like a lot of money.
And to anybody thinking about moving to any different country in the world that uses a different currency. I knew about currency fluctuations, but I wasn't expecting such a huge devaluation of the pound. To anyone moving anywhere, I would say this to you. Work on your currency devaluing by up to 50%, and if you're still going to be okay after that event, go for it. Otherwise, think twice. Over the next few years, life just continued. It was like a ticking time bomb.
I like how these guys love to give advice.
And I knew deep down what was happening. And halfway through 2018, my savings ran out. Well, I had about £10,000 left. I toyed with the idea of asking Ang to go back to England with me. I had a house to live in and could get another job to save up some more money to come back to Thailand. But when I brought it up with her, she looked at me like something she did not want to do at all. I told her of the situation and that we had about 45,000 baht per month to live on and not any more. This is when I noticed her changed. She knew full well the situation for the past few years and did nothing to try to help. And when the time was up, it looked like she was not going to stay by my side. I made the hard decision to go back to the UK and to get another job. I gave my tenants notice and said goodbye to Ang, who took me to the airport. We were still married and going to be staying together, just not in the same countries. Arriving back in the UK was the worst feeling in the world. It was then that I started to feel like I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. If it wasn't for Ang,
You know, retirement takes planning too. You know, this guy quit his job, quit his job. He had savings from something he sold, right? No retirement planning. He just got on a plane and went to Thailand and to retire. You know, he came to that mentality and now he's gonna go back to work. So, you know, trying to retire, guys, especially in Thailand, you know, not using your brain. This is what this guy supposedly he went to retire. Now he's going to back to work. Oh my god.
I could still be in Thailand, living out my life the way I wanted to live it. But here I was, back in England, about to get another job for her. This didn't sit well with me at all, and I ended up flying back to Thailand after a week to speak to Ang about it. I told her that the situation, and that if we're going to save up some money in England, I'm not going to send you any money, because that will make it take longer for me to get back there. And this is where I want to be. It was after I spoke this to her that I realised it was over. She said, if you don't send me any money, I will go back to work in the bar. I still loved her, but I knew and had no sense that she loved me at all. And for the first time in years, I told her to go for it. We broke up that very day. While we're still legally married, but yes, we're still legally married. I spent about a year in the UK and got back to Thailand just before the COVID lockdowns. I live off the rental income from my house and have enough savings to cover emergencies for when people move out or if something breaks in the house. It's not a lot of money, but it keeps me going. I chose to live in Hua Hin and I'm by the beach.
This dude went through his savings just to please her. You know, buying this is the perfect example of buying love, guys. You know, just to keep the girlfriend. He even try to go back to work to keep on giving her the monthly. This is crazy. Like, I don't know. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'm out.